The blood was purple. Ebi had seen a lot of strange things during her 2 years on Kepler 442f, but she'd never seen purple blood before. It pooled beneath the creature writhing in the moss, small, no larger than her forearm, covered in midnight scales that shimmered like oil on water. 3 rows of needle teeth. 6 eyes, 4 of them clouded with pain. A Cathara infant. Her breath caught. Every species in the galaxy knew what Cathara were: apex killers, soulless destroyers that had rendered 14 worlds uninhabitable. The Galactic Council had tried diplomacy, containment, extermination. Nothing worked. Cathara simply killed, drove species to extinction, then moved on. And here was a baby mewling softly, its hind leg twisted at an unnatural angle. Ebi's hand moved to her comm. Protocol demanded she report this immediately. Her fingers hovered over the button. The creature's 6 eyes fixed on her. It made a sound, not a growl but something quieter, questioning. She thought of her childhood cat, hit by a car, looking at her with that same confused pain. "Damn it," she whispered, and reached for her medkit instead. The colony's central hub fell silent when she walked in carrying the bundle. 7 species, 23 scientists, all frozen mid-task. Dr. Zythel's crystalline form flickered red. "Ebi, tell me that's not." She pulled back the thermal blanket. The Cathara infant chirped, blinking groggily from the sedative she'd administered. Chaos erupted. "Are you insane?" Commander Voss's commissary clacked so violently that bits of chitin flew. "That thing will slaughter us all." "It's a baby with a broken leg," Ebi said calmly. "It's an abomination." Researcher Quillith's tentacles whipped through the air. "Cathara don't feel pain, don't feel fear, don't feel anything. They're biological weapons." "Then why," Ebi asked quietly, "was it crying?" The room went still. "Impossible," Zythel said, but uncertainty rippled through their crystalline structure. "Cathara neurology doesn't support." "I was there, it was crying." Ebi looked around the room, meeting each alien gaze. "I'm not asking for much. Let me heal the leg, keep it contained. If I'm wrong, we'll transport it off-world. But if I'm right," she paused, "maybe we've misunderstood them all along." Voss's mandibles ground together. "Humans, your species' fatal flaw, you anthropomorphize everything. See consciousness where there's only instinct." "Maybe," Ebi said, "or maybe that's our strength." After 3 hours of argument, they reached a compromise. The Cathara could stay in Medical Bay 3 in a reinforced containment cell. Ebi would care for it. The moment it showed aggression, it would be eliminated. She named him Shade, though she never said it aloud. Over the following weeks, she set his leg, fed him protein cultures, cleaned his enclosure. The other scientists gave Medical Bay 3 a wide berth. Shade grew quickly. Within a month, he doubled in size. His scales darkened and the muscles beneath them coiled like steel cables. His teeth could punch through duralloy. His claws could disembowel a Voss-class warrior with a single swipe. But when Ebi entered each morning, he chirped and pressed against the energy barrier, 6 eyes bright. "You're lonely," she said one day, sitting cross-legged outside his cage. "I get it. I'm the only human here too." Shade tilted his head, 3 rows of teeth retracting slightly, almost like a smile. The attack came on a Tuesday. Ebi was running tissue scans when the alarm screamed. Red light bathed the corridor. Through the viewport she saw ships, dozens of them, angular and predatory. Razkai raiders. The colony's defenses were designed for research, not warfare. The first barrage blew a hole through the eastern wing. "All personnel to safe rooms," Voss's voice crackled over comms. "This is not a drill." Ebi ran to Medical Bay 3. Through the viewport she saw Razkai soldiers pouring through the breach, energy weapons cutting down anyone too slow to flee. The colony's security, 3 aging defensive drones, lasted seconds. Inside the bay, Shade was throwing himself against the containment field, roaring. Not the confused sound of an infant, but something primal and furious. "I'm sorry," Ebi whispered, hand on the control panel. "I'm so sorry I kept you locked up." She deactivated the field. Shade burst out and bolted for the door. For one terrible moment, Ebi thought she'd been wrong about everything, that he would simply escape, leave them all to die. Then he stopped at the doorway, looked back at her, 6 eyes burning with something that looked almost like understanding, and charged toward the breach. What happened next would be analyzed by xenobiologists for decades. Shade hit the first Razkai squad like a meteor. His claws sheared through combat armor. His jaws crushed weapon barrels. He moved with impossible speed, a black blur of scales and fury. But it wasn't mindless slaughter. Ebi watched through the security feeds as Shade protected, positioning himself between raiders and fleeing scientists, driving the attackers back toward the breach, giving the colony's inhabitants time to reach safety. When the Razkai commander activated their ship's weapons to fire on the colony itself, Shade leapt 30 meters straight up, tore through the hull, and ended the threat from within. 15 minutes after the attack began, it was over. Shade stood in the ruined eastern wing, scales matted with purple and green and orange blood, none of it his own. Around him, the colony's scientists emerged slowly from their hiding places. Voss approached, mandibles clicking nervously. I don't understand." "Yes, you do," Ebi said softly, walking to Shade. The Kathara lowered his massive head and she placed her hand on his snout. "You just haven't wanted to believe it." Zythel's form flickered, not red this time, but a confused purple. "Kathara are killers. That's what every study, every encounter has shown." "Maybe," Ebi said, "because every encounter has been violent. Maybe because we shot first, built walls first, assumed the worst first." She looked around at the assembled scientists. "Maybe they've been responding to our fear, not acting on some inherent evil." Shade chirped, that same questioning sound from months ago, but now it came from a throat that could shatter stone. Quillith's tentacles slowly uncoiled. "The human capacity for compassion. We've read about it, theorized about it, but to see it in action." "It's not just human," Ebi said. She gestured to Shade. "It's universal, we just have to be brave enough to offer it first." 3 months later, the colony had been repaired. The Galactic Council had sent observers, scientists, ethicists, all trying to understand what had happened on Kepler 442f. Shade still lived at the colony, though now his enclosure was a large habitat with forest and water. He could leave whenever he wanted. He never did. Ebi found him there most evenings, watching the sunset through the biodome. Tonight, she sat beside him, and he lowered his head into her lap like an enormous, deadly cat. "They're going to try communication," she told him, "with other Kathara, because of you, because you showed them it was possible." Shade's 6 eyes closed halfway, contentment. "Humans have been doing this forever, you know," Ebi continued. "Taking in wolves, hopping for dogs. Most species think we're crazy for it." She scratched behind his auditory ridge, where scales met softer flesh. "But that's the thing about compassion. It's not logical, it's not safe, it's just necessary. Because the alternative, assuming everything different is an enemy, that's how species die alone." Shade rumbled, a sound that vibrated through her bones. In the distance, another ship approached, this one carrying Kathara representatives for first contact. Real contact, not through weapons fire. It might work, it might fail, but for the first time in galactic history they were trying. All because one human girl couldn't walk past something in pain. All because of the Mercy Protocol hardwired into human DNA. All because compassion, in the end, was the most powerful force in the universe.